I am with Quincy Long, the playwright, and Kathleen Dimmick, the director of The Huntsman, which is making its world premiere debut, big time, lights on, ready to go performance here tonight. So when Artslandia told me we were going to come see this, I said, great, The Huntsman, what's it about? They said, it is a doo-wop play with songs about a serial killer. And I said, again? Didn't we just see that last week? So this is a very original idea. Can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of it?
Yeah, it started with a request from a producer I know who was looking for plays to be set in a den. That's all I had to go on. And I started writing. It turned out to be a father and son. It turned out to be something that got deeper and deeper and deeper into the son's kind of mental morass, and it took off from there. You know, I just was feeling my way along with it. I didn't really know where it was going, and it ended up in a weirder spot than anybody would have imagined.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Linnard, our protagonist in tonight's play, The Huntsman, at the Portland Playhouse. Dean, welcome to Portland.
Thank you very much.
You're a New Yorker?
I am a New Yorker at heart.
Where are you from, New York originally?
Actually, originally from California, and I went out to New York to go to school, but I've lived in New York for about 5 years, and so it's nice to be back on the West Coast.
So tell us, sort of in a nutshell, which I know will be difficult, what The Huntsman is about.
It'll have to be a big nutshell, since it's complicated.
It's a Brazil nut.
I would say The Huntsman is a psychological thriller about a 14-year-old named Devin who is very isolated and feels very alone, and his escape becomes music. And he has many dark thoughts and many dark ideas. And there are a series of violent acts in the show, but there's also a series of musical sort of explosions. And what is real and what's not, and all these different elements are sort of thrown in the air, and it's left for the audience to sort of figure out what they want to take as true, what they want to take as enjoyable or not, because it mixes a whole bunch of different elements. There's songs, there's violence, there's all these different things, without telling the audiences how you're supposed to feel about it.
Now, how do you approach a play differently when it's something that you've never had placed, you know, it's never been on a stage before in a full production? How do you approach that differently just as a director?
Well, in a case like this, because Quincy's here, he's with me all the time. It's special. It doesn't always happen that way. So he's really like my co-creator and dramaturg, because he is telling me what he sees and what he hears, and it's the best. It's the most perfect conduit for me to realize the play, especially the first time out, according to what he's thinking. So it could hardly be better in terms of working in that way.
Sometimes directors don't always like the input of the playwright. Have you ever worked that way before?
Like I work with Kathleen?
Well, having worked with other directors who maybe aren't quite as appreciative of the collaborative effort, let's say.
Say the least. It's always a negotiation, you know, when you're working with, even with Kathleen, it's a negotiation. There are times when she says, just shut up, I can't take this right now. I'm trying to figure something out, and I got to just back off and write a note instead. I can't just, you know, go tapping her on the shoulder with yet another comment. And with, but most all directors I've worked with have been pretty accessible. You know, they pretty much want to know what especially with a new play, and especially with the first time up. You know, they want to know what I think, and they're kind of open. But there are other ones, I don't know, there are times you just have to kind of just hold your peace, make your notes, make your point when you have a chance, when it's appropriate, when things have calmed down, you know, like that.
And this is the first time you've originated a role in a world premiere musical. What's that journey like?
Well, it's been a lot of work, a lot of wonderful work, and it's been such a blessing to have Quincy in the room with us the entire time. So if we had questions about specific lines or what was happening, we could talk to him, and in some cases even make changes. So it really was an evolving text as we worked on it. But really, we started with the text, or I started with the text, and built it up, and tried not to have any preconceived notions, because I think especially with dealing with violence and youth, it's very easy to be like, oh, he's psychotic, or oh, it's because there was bad parents, or oh, it's because of this one thing. And I think it helps in this play, but also just in general, to have a broader mindset about it and not try to pigeonhole it into one thing, but actually look at it as a complicated and intricate situation. So really, I tried to approach it not from one lens, but really think about all the different factors going on in his brain, and then throw all that work out and just get up on stage and do it and discover new things with my fantastic fellow castmates.
Mental health is so in the news right now. It's become a real sort of a real hot button issue. With everything that's been coming up in the last few weeks, how did that, or did it, sort of add any layers to the performance for you?
I think it's tough because the play does deal with violence and youth, but I don't think it's a play about youthful violence, if that makes sense. Like,
yes, it does.
It doesn't deal with violence in schools directly, or it doesn't deal with these things directly. And even though my character commits many violent acts in the play, I wouldn't call him a serial killer, because he doesn't go out to kill a bunch of people. It's not. It's circumstantial, if that makes sense, and each one's handled very differently. It's not a spread. So I think we were aware of what was going on, but since the play is kind of its own little thing, I don't think it directly influenced the way we approach it. I do think it's very topical, and I think it's definitely in people's minds coming into the show, and I think it adds an interesting spin on that conversation, because it's a complicated conversation, and to minimize it to talking points or political points, I think doesn't do anyone any favors. But plays like this that make people think, make people laugh, and get angry or get frightened sometimes at the same time, I think that's doing good, because it's stirring up people and making people a little uncomfortable, and not just you don't want theater, you don't want art that makes people complacent, I think. And this play does a good job. I think it's stirring and sort of poking at sensitive issues so that we can talk about it like we are right now. Bring it full circle.
Oh my goodness, that was good. Do you want to hold the microphone for a little while? Tell me about Portland Playhouse and the collaborative experience of working with them.
Oh, Portland Playhouse is great because they're so adventurous. They take on a play like this. Not all places do or would. And it's just real nitty-gritty. I started the theater when I was coming out of college, and it's got that vibe. Everybody's scrambling, but making do and fixing, doing, just getting the thing together and getting it up. They're just very brave,
How about you, Kathleen?
Yeah, I'd agree. With Brian Weaver, he has a real idea about a theater that's part of a community and is also professional. And so he's extending himself in a way to bring us from New York. It's pushing the envelope a bit. This play pushes the envelope a little bit. And I really respect that he's trying to build something here in this funky church, I mean, who would have known? So, yeah, it's great to see a company like this making its move, making some work happen.
And making a huge, indelible mark on our theater community here. They really have.
A real evangelist for live theater, and we need that. Yeah.
So, do you think that you would be willing to come back and do something else here then?
Yeah, in a heartbeat, yeah.
No question, no question.
What's next for both of you? How about you, Kathleen? What's going on next?
Well, we're going to collaborate on a new play we'll probably do in 2014. Yeah, that's on the burner right now.
What's it about, Quincy? No spoilers, no spoilers.
I'll just tell you it's based on an ancient myth about the daughters of Io. So that could be tempting.
I have been waiting for somebody to hop.
Half of Portland, I'm sure, if not the United States.
It's about time somebody jumped on this Daughters of Io controversy. I've just about had it with those girls.